Eh, eh. Season can change pretty fast. We've just proved that. Okay, yeah, if you just take a right on that trail and then you just follow that for a couple hundred yards, it'll come. Ooh, that is good blood, isn't it?
That was a really good hit.
Yeah.
Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail, Fuse Accessories, and Hoyt. Welcome to Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. You've just watched a hunt where I shot a buck that was straight downwind from the tree stand. And over the years of bow hunting, I've found 3 situations where I can hunt upwind of deer and not have them detect me. So today we're going to talk about those 3. And the one that you just saw, that was a situation where I was up on a ridge, and the way the terrain and the cover were set up there, I could keep my scent above the deer that were in the valley below. So that's a definite opportunity, and I did an interview on this topic back in January during postseason scouting. So I'm going to bring that up right now and let that kind of run through this whole process of how you can hunt above the deer. Then I'll come back and talk about the other 2 situations where I've been able to hunt upwind. If the ridge runs east and west, a north or south wind is going to dictate which side of that ridge they travel on when they're moving through there. Obviously if it's a south wind on an east-west ridge, they're going to be on the north side because they're going to want to favor, again, that downwind side. So that should tell you where to set up based on the wind direction. But where exactly you set up on those ridges, that's a little bit of a trick. And I think you can put some hard science to it, but some of it's just an art too. And the main thing you want to do, obviously, is not have very many trails downwind of you where the deer can smell you, if they pass on that side. And ideally, you're far enough over the top of the ridge that your scent is going to be below the main trails that are paralleling that ridge. If not, the other thing you can do, and this is, like I said, the art, is if you're up high enough on the ridge top itself, or right where the ridge starts to crest over, your scent will carry at that level for who knows how far before it really starts to spread out and filter its way downward. So any deer downwind of you then, they're just not going to smell you because your scent is blown over the top, over them. And that's worth playing with, and I've had a lot of really good experiences over the years doing that. But you can't be down over the side and expect that to work, because the wind will swirl on the downwind side if you're down over the edge of the top. So you need to be above, your body needs to be above, exposed above the ridge line. And if it's open like this, if you look around, you can see there's almost no leaves or any kind of foliage at all on these trees. Well, the wind is going to blow through here real clean. It's not going to be slowed down by the branches because there's not hardly any leaves to do that. So you're not going to get that swirling effect that comes just from like the surface of the ground making contact with the air and slowing it down. It's going to blow right through, and that's going to carry your scent through clean. Anything that slows the wind down is going to cause swirling, so just keep that in mind. So you can get away with hunting the tops of these ridges sometimes if it's open like this, where you can get say 20 plus feet up in the tree, your scent blows out over the downwind valley, no deer smell you. You can come in from that direction into the wind, right straight to the tree. It's pretty bulletproof. But if you have any swirling effect at all, then you've got to drop down over the side of the ridge, and you've got to hunt that most downwind trail. There's sometimes only one, but usually there's 2 and sometimes even 3 that parallel the sides of these ridges. The next situation I want to talk about is one that I don't have any B-roll footage to support, unfortunately. Back in the early 2000s, late 1990s, a friend, Larry Kendall, and I got it in our heads that we could take PVC clothing and just completely encase ourselves so that there was no human scent that got out. We arrived at PVC because it didn't seem to have much of an odor of its own, and the surface area of the PVC garments, we used a pair of boot foot waders, and PVC rain jacket with a hood. You could scrub that stuff clean, and it didn't have any surface area, so it didn't hold scent. Anyway,
It's not porous, right?
right. So if you think about it, you know, if you dunk something in water and you pull it out of the water, if it weighs a whole lot more after you pull it out than before you put it in, it's absorbing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take something like PVC and you dunk it in the water and you pull it out, it's hardly going to weigh anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not absorbing anything. Excuse me. So not only does it not absorb water, but it's not going to absorb scent either.
Would you say in general waterproof fabrics behave like that, or specifically PVC?
Well, I like PVC because it didn't have an odor of its own.
Mm.
And again, you could take any waterproof membrane and put it inside of fleece.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the waterproof product itself, it's the overall composition of the garment. Because if you put it inside the fleece and you dunk the fleece with the waterproof membrane, it's going to come out weighing, 10 times more.
Right.
So the other way you can do this, and we're getting a little off topic, but it's kind of a cool subject. I've never really talked about it here, and I probably should go into more detail. But let's say you're in a room where there's no airflow and there's a window with light coming in. And if you backlight, let's say, my arm's getting tired. So if you backlight the garment that you're holding,
Mm-hmm.
and you shake it, you'll see all kinds of stuff just floating down off that. Well, those are the same things that are going to come off there when the wind blows.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking, well, they're smelling human scent. They're smelling, human scent embedded in the fibers and who knows whatever else is in those garments.
Mm-hmm.
When you shake it, that stuff all comes out. Well, what if there isn't anything like that? What if you shake it and nothing comes off?
Right.
And that's where the PVC came in. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, if you're really hardcore, get yourself some PVC boot foot waders, PVC rain jacket, tuck the rain jacket in, duct tape the seam between the PVC wader and the rain jacket, pull the hood up, fasten it tight under your chin, duct tape under your chin, and then duct tape the sleeve openings closed. You can fool all the deer all the time. I did that for a whole season, and I never had a single deer pick up on me. I was sitting 40 yards upwind sometimes of deer, and I would drop a wind floater and it would just blow right to them. But it's not very comfortable. It's not even the least bit comfortable. And it's fairly cold, compared to a lot of the other garments that we would use. And it's kind of noisy. Once it gets cold outside, that PVC is kind of ripply and crunchy sounding, but it did work. So anyway, the third one is more practical, and that's to do the same thing with a ground blind.
Mm-hmm.
So you just expand the size of your garment, so to speak, and now you're inside of a blind and you make everything airtight. And I've done this with the cloth blinds over the years, the little portable ones that you can carry over your shoulder. And you do that by putting like sandwich wrap, saran wrap across the windows. That way the scent stays in, but you can shoot through that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't affect the arrow flight. It just punches right through. You got to take a little shovel along and dig the bottom edge, around in the dirt, so that you can tuck the blind into the ground and then put the dirt back over that edge. But if you try hard enough, you can make those little portable blinds scent proof too. But we've had a lot of success with the redneck blinds,
Mm-hmm.
doing the same thing. And obviously it's a lot more expensive when you do it with a hard surface fiberglass blind like that. But I've killed a lot of deer, mostly does, hunting out of the blinds in this way on the upwind side of the deer. In fact, back in November of 2019, I shot a nice buck that I'd been hunting that whole season. The whole bunch of the deer were directly downwind of that blind. It was blowing right from us right into this little spot in the food plot where we had created the shooting lane. And none of them really picked up. A couple of them raised their noses, but the only reason I was able to kill that deer was because, you know, we were in that blind.
It seems like if you're in a blind and you only have the window on the downwind side open and you don't have anything on the upwind side, like behind you,
Yeah.
it would be kind of like a vacuum. Like the scent wouldn't be able to, nothing would be able to blow through.
Right. It still can circle in there.
Yeah.
Because if it's coming in, it's got to be also going out.
Yeah.
So there's only a couple things that we've really seen there. One is you can crack the window and you can run an ozonics, which is the, you know, it makes the, what's that called? Ozone. It makes the ozone, it's an unstable oxygen. When it breaks down, it grabs onto carbons. Well, human scent is a carbon chain, so it destroys human scent in the air. In the controlled environment like that within a blind, especially as it's leaving the blind through a window or a small crack or something, that does a really good job. Otherwise, the only other solution that we found is just to make sure everything is closed. Oh, those dogs. Yeah, let's see what that is.
Why buy chew toys when we have natural ones
Yeah.
everywhere?
And people wonder why we call them the Stinky Brothers. He doesn't smell good right now, I'm sure. Oh, the blinds. And you can fine tune them. You know, not every single blind that you buy from the manufacturer is going to be perfectly airtight. You might have to go in there and you know, put in a little bit of like the door gasket material and you know, kind of clean up around the edges of the windows and so forth to make sure that when it closes, everything seals. But I've had really good luck in the redneck blinds doing that too, and that's something that we're going to continue to play around with. So there's 3 situations to get to the end of this where you can hunt on the upwind side of deer and get away with it. One, if you're above them and both the terrain and the cover work for you. You can't have swirling and have that work. So if you can set up that situation, that's one. The other one is to go to the extremes and make a garment system that just doesn't allow any scent out and doesn't have any scent of its own. And then the third one is the most practical one for most situations, and that's to be in a blind that is scent containing. So what did you learn today, Jordan?
I don't necessarily want to PVC tube myself into a garment, so I'll probably be opting for the terrain or ground blind.
Yeah, it's that was a rough season. Excuse me, that was a rough season, but we did prove that it works. Well, we're going to call it quits right there. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you right back here again next week for the next episode of Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. And remember to
Always dream big.